Of 3-2-1. Cambridge Chef always talks about 3-2-1. 3 contacts a day, 2 parties a week, and 1 new consultant a month, right? Okay, so 3-2-1 sounded fantastic for everyone except for me. Because when they came out with that new baby, and I'm like, yeah, right, if I had a schedule, I would be like Queen of the Nile because this is a brand new baby. There's, like, I'm a brand new mom, this is a brand new baby, this thing isn't working the way people say it will, so that 3-2-1, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get the 3 contacts in every single day. That would stress me out more than anything. So I would try to make 15 contacts in a week. So if I had a certain amount of time, I was making as many contacts as I could at that one time. So with the Power Hour binder, when you have that 15 minutes, let's just say for some odd reason, you have called every single person you think is a potential host in your list, okay? Let's say I go through all my lists and I've called them all. Where in the world would I turn to get more people for bookings? Okay, so your Frank's list, which you should have done the second you got your Frank's list from your director. And what's the Frank's list again? Friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, kids or pets, and then spouse, and how you know people through your spouse, and how you know people through your neighbor, and how you know those people. And we cross-contaminate them, right? Cross whatever that's called. So you have all your neighbors, and then how you know people through your neighbors, that kind of thing. Okay, so you go back to that original list, but you have that 15-minute window. You've got to work the whole 15 minutes. So if I run out of my list of rolling contacts, I'm creating a new list. I'm going to keep that new list. And if for some reason I only had 12 minutes, and I thought I had 15, I am going to go right back to where I was to get. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I always know where I started, where I stopped, and I'm trying to work as much of my free time as I possibly can. And if I have to do every other day, if for some reason, like sometimes it seems like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are chaotic, and Friday mornings I can make phone calls. I don't know why. Sometimes that's just the way it is for me. So Friday, I might do 2 hours worth of work instead of 1 hour. Okay, so you're kind of putting, you might just, maybe you have a sick kid and they're watching a movie or something and you're like, oh, wait a minute, it's kind of quiet. Maybe I can work right now. Okay, and so you take your 15-minute segments. And the reason you stick to 15 minutes per section is because you don't want to neglect a section. So you don't want to spend an hour on bookings and not spend any time at all on customer care call, which I did for many, many years with this business because I was like, I just need bookings. I gotta have bookings. If I don't have bookings, I don't have business. So Evelyn.
Is it ever too late to do customer care?
Never.
So like say you're not the best at it and you had a party and you just never really followed up.
That's a great question. Okay, I had not too long ago, I printed out my list. It was probably actually a year ago. I don't want to say not too long ago. It was probably 9 months to a year ago. I printed out my list of all my past hostesses. Okay, and I went through and I crossed out people that had become consultants, or maybe those hostesses had a friend who became a consultant. I'm like, okay, I can't call them because I don't want to call, Ryan because he's Evelyn's customer. That wouldn't make any sense. So, I went through and I was like, oh, okay, and then I'll cross out the people that, for some reason I knew they weren't going to host or whatever. So I started calling people, and I had a girl who, I met her, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I met her through my mom's coworker, and she probably did 2 or 3 parties, her sister did 2 or 3 parties, her mom did a party, or old babysitter did a party, I had a couple parties with her, and then I haven't spoken to her in the last 7 years. And so I called her and I said, hey Kelly, it's Missy, and I was like, do you remember me? And she's like, oh my gosh, how are you doing, blah, blah, blah. She just did a party for me this past month. And then her sister booked off of me, and then her coworker booked off of me. So it's like, the second I called her, she was so excited. She's like, we haven't done a party in forever. We've got to do a party. Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you still come here and do parties, right? Because I really want you to come do a party. And I was like, okay. And I'm thinking, I haven't talked to her in like 7 or 8 years. And I kind of felt bad because I didn't talk to her in 7 or 8 years. And I'm like, that's kind of horrible of me that I have not called or emailed or talked or anything because she had a new job. That's why she wasn't getting my emails. And I was like, gosh, and she was more excited. I was really excited just to hear her voice, and she was more excited just to say, will you still come to a party? So it was really good.
Do you just follow up with hosts, or do you also follow up with guests?
You should follow up with guests, too, because they become your potential new hosts. So, I mean, it's great when you have someone that will post every 6 months to a year. You know they're going to do it every 6 months to a year. So you don't put them by the wayside, but you definitely can just text Lisa and say, I can't wait till our next party in January. You know, and then you want to talk to Evelyn because Evelyn was a new person at Lisa's party, and you want to make sure Evelyn knows she can host a party every 6 months to a year. Okay? And a lot of times, when you have those people that host over and over and over again, that's where you're meeting some of your potential consultants, because you're like, well, Lisa, since you host every single year, would you ever consider giving Pampered Chef a try? Oh my gosh, no, I would never do that. Evelyn's like, why won't you do it? You know I'm going to come and blah, 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 blah. Denise, what'd you say?
I have 2 ladies that they know, absolutely. I ask them every time. They're like, no, we just like you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask you every single time.
That's fine. And you keep asking them, because something might change in their life
Yeah.
that you don't know about.
Yeah.
I had a group, when I first was getting my business going, I had a group of teachers, and I saw them every single month. Do you know why? Because they only had $20 or $40 to spend every single month, and they had a huge wish list. And so I said to them every single month, I'm like, listen, girls, I love seeing you, but one of you should become the Pampered Chef consultant, because you do Creative Memories, and you do Tupperware, and you do Longaberger, and you do... I was like, so someone should do Pampered Chef. I love seeing you, but you know you're going to get together, so one of you should do this. And so the one girl said, okay, I'll just do it. I said, okay, you just do it. And she did it for 5 years straight with that group, because they just kept going and going and going and going. And I don't know, I guess they fill up their kitchens. But she'll still call me and be like, here's what I need this month. And she'll give me a $100 or $200 order. Because, you know, she still has that group, and they still say to her, hey, I need stuff, but it might be like once a year or once every 18 months. But it's just funny to me that I would see them over and over and over again. I'm like, I love seeing you every single month, but I know what's going to happen. Why doesn't one of you become a consultant? Okay. Other questions on the binder? Anything that we talked about?